Let's summarize what we covered in this module. So the first thing we did is we went over almost all of the controls that are available to you in iOS. I really wanted to give you a good depth of understanding of what is available to you in building your iOS applications, because I feel like a lot of the controls are unique in iOS and you might not be familiar with them. So hopefully we've done a good job of getting you prepared and getting your understanding level up of what is available to you. Next thing we talked about was how to lay out controls. I think this is an important concept to know, because you're going to be wanting to be able to scale up your applications, especially if you're going from an iPhone to an iPad, or if different resolutions come out in the future, and just understanding what those controls are and how they work. Then we talked about the file owner and the first responder, and these are somewhat confusing topics, and it's okay if you don't fully understand these. It's a little confusing seeing them in Interface Builder, so I wanted to at least go over them so we'd have a basic understanding of what these things are that we're constantly seeing in Interface Builder. We talked a little bit about how the file owner is essentially the controller that is going to bind to that view, and how the first responder is the UI element that's going to respond first to the event that comes in through the UI, and that how that sets up the event chain of responders that are next in line and next in line that can handle an event as it comes in. Then finally, we created the UI for the protein tracker application. I wanted to show you how easy it is to actually develop a real user interface in iOS, especially if you're using the default controls that come with Interface Builder. And so we went through and we created that, and we saw how easy it is to lay out controls and line them up using Interface Builder in Xcode. So that concludes this module, and that also concludes this first part, this first course in the Introduction to iOS Development. Hopefully you've learned a lot and have gotten a good taste for what is available in iOS. I really wanted you to be able to see what the kind of breadth of the entire iOS platform is. We didn't go too much into code in this particular course because there's so much to cover, especially coming from a different background, from a .NET background, that I felt like it was a lot more important that you get a broad understanding of what's available to you. Of course, in the next course, we're going to cover much more in depth and get into a lot more code in implementing some of the things like the table view controls and navigation and dialog boxes and things of that nature. And then we'll finally get into actually doing some deployment and testing of our application.